Let's go on to diversifying marketing channels. Just like these business channels, every marketing channel is completely different. Facebook versus Google versus direct sales, email, they're all different. They're all used for different purposes. They have pros and cons. And just like business channels, the marketing channels should be diversified. We see people in only one channel all the time. And it's regardless of size of business. You suffer from the same thing, I think, that you do with a business channel, which is things are good, things are working. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can worry about the 100,000 other things that I have to worry about, which is true as any leader of any business. There's just more things than you have time in the day to do. And so if something's working, you kind of put that aside. The challenge is a marketing channel can get shut off. It can change. We saw that with Facebook quite a bit, right? Over the last several years, it was very hard. It got gradually more difficult to get the return on Facebook that you could 2-3 years ago. And that makes sense because there's more people competing for it. There's just a whole bunch of reasons for that. But that really devastated a lot of businesses. So how can we start to think about diversifying marketing channels? There are differences between marketing channels, right? Facebook, Instagram has a different purpose. The people are there for a different reason than Google pay-per-click. What's an owned channel? What's an unowned channel?
Yeah, so anything paid, you don't own it. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, even an influencer. Sure, your influencer works for you, sort of, but
it's their audience.
Yeah, it's their audience. So there's not a whole lot of stability there because you don't know, like you said, when algorithms will change, when rules will change. 2018 marked a big change in Facebook. There's a big push to become much more user-friendly as far as advertising goes. So Facebook started prioritizing different types of ads differently. And it's not like they're going to make a big announcement and let you know. You have to figure it out. So, so it kind of sent a bunch of advertisers into a big flustered panic because suddenly they weren't getting the return on ad spend that they used to. And they needed to figure out either crack Facebook's code or diversify and figure out where else they can be advertising. Any paid channel, you really need to be constantly learning and adapting and growing, and make sure you're in community with smart advertisers who are even more on top of their game than you are. A safer approach is to make sure that you have budget for multiple channels and not just Facebook and Instagram or any other place that you might silo yourself. It's hard to be disciplined, and you may have an expert on your team who just kills it at Facebook, but you probably need to get a few experts on your team that can kill it at Google too, or at least figure out a way to start building a presence on other channels so that you're prepared if changes happen. Really, the only thing that you can own is email marketing. A big purpose that you want to be using paid channels for are to be acquiring new customers and getting as much information as you can from them, namely an email address. So then you're building an email list, and that is an asset that you can use, and you'll have those forever. And if you're on a great email service provider for e-commerce, then your options are limitless for how you can market to those names.
I have some thoughts on diversification. More philosophically and more practically would be, we're talking about moving from a growth hacker mindset and using methods and tactics to looking at, return on investment, long-term lifetime value of customers, et cetera. And so to stick with that example of, let's say, your stock investment, stock portfolio, it means that you don't invest in only one area. That wouldn't be wise. Diversity does a few things. For me, the main thing that diversity allows is much more autonomy and freedom to experiment and grow. When you're locked into one or two channels, you're going to be consumed with learning everything you can about those channels. If you're a company that relies exclusively on Instagram or exclusively on Amazon, you know those channels really, really well. But guess what? You don't have the creativity to grow in 5 other areas because you're so consumed with that. So diversity allows autonomy and freedom to experiment, grow, and be creative. It also allows you to shift when you need to and learn new ways to market and succeed when you take up multiple platforms. For instance, you can learn things that work on YouTube and then apply the same thing to Facebook. or Instagram. It's not unusual to say, hey, this is working on Instagram really, really well. This image is getting good response by this demographic. Let's try that on Facebook. Or this video is killing it on Facebook. Should we try to upload it to YouTube and try some things there? So it's not a wise thing at all to invest your money in one or two stocks. Like if your life savings is invested in one or two stocks, people would say that's a really dumb thing to do. It's not wise. If that company crashes, you've lost your life savings. And it's not a wise thing to do to invest all of your marketing resources into one or two channels exclusively.
For more information and ways we can help your business, head over to Metacake.com. Thanks, and never stop growing.